Dear friends, this week, our governor is considering issuing an executive order broadly granting immunity to healthcare providers for all misconduct, short of fraud or intentional conduct. This broad immunity means even nursing homes cannot be sued for negligence, gross negligence, or recklessness during the current pandemic. Many will debate the wisdom and necessity of such immunity or any immunity. Some suggest the governor should not go so far and should instead still allow elder abuse cases for gross negligence and recklessness in nursing homes. There are many strongly held opinions on both sides of the debate. I want to share with you my thoughts on the nursing home industry's attempts to piggyback on the sympathies we all feel for the frontline healthcare providers fighting the pandemic in hospitals. First, we are all, of course, immensely grateful to the brave physicians, nurses, nursing assistants, orderlies, maintenance staff, janitorial staff, everyone and anyone working in the hospitals, risking their lives every day to keep us safe. My statement and my views are only directed at large nursing home chains during this pandemic. One of the arguments raised by the industry is that they don't want to be sued for deficient care that results from staffing shortages during the current pandemic. The concept of staffing shortages in nursing homes is an important issue that affects anyone who may one day need nursing home care or who currently has a loved one in a nursing home. And the message I want to share with you is this. While it may be true that currently in these unprecedented times, nursing homes may face staffing shortages, before the current pandemic started, neglect didn't happen in nursing homes because there was a shortage of nurses and aides willing and able to show up to work. The number one reason why neglect happens in nursing homes is because the owners of these facilities choose not to use federal money, federal funds, to hire enough staff. It's a pretty simple formula. The nursing homes tell the government how high the needs of their residents are, and the government pays the nursing homes the amounts necessary to meet those needs. The higher the needs of the residents reported by the nursing homes, the higher the reimbursement paid by the government. In return, the government expects the nursing homes to use the money to provide a certain definitive level of staffing. The problem is the level of staffing the nursing homes actually provide is almost always astronomically lower than the staffing levels the government expects them to provide. Many studies show a direct link between understaffing, which before the pandemic was rampant in nursing homes, and the development of pressure ulcers, falls with injuries, abuse of chemical restraints like psychotropic drugs, and other forms of neglect. But today, when it's estimated that 20% of Covid-19 deaths in the United States are suffered by nursing home residents, large nursing home chains are being given blanket immunity without being asked to give back anything in return. Now you may be asking yourselves, what do I want the nursing homes to give back in return? Aren't they expected to do enough in the face of a global pandemic? There's a two-part answer to this question. Number one, elder neglect, the root cause of which is always greed and fraud, is vastly different from cases of medical malpractice that center on actions by physicians that are below the standard of care. Today, physicians fighting the pandemic are faced with extremely difficult choices, and there's some merit to the argument that if they make the wrong decision, given the current circumstances, they should not be sued absent fraud or intentional conduct. But in a nursing home, the nurses and caregivers have to play the cards that they're dealt, and the people dealing those cards are the owners of the facilities. Number two, it's important for the public to know that in nursing homes, whoever controls the money controls the level of care. There's something well known to those familiar with the industry as related party transactions. This is when the same people who own the nursing home also own the building the facility pays rent to and the entities that provide services to the facility, such as management. By law, the administrator of the nursing home has to be the one in charge of making sure that the revenues received by the facility are used in the best interest of the residents. But in reality, the owners deplete the revenues by making inflated payments to themselves, leaving the facilities woefully understaffed, while bringing in millions of profits every year, which they use to buy out more facilities, which they then use to engage in more related party transactions. Given what I know about how the nursing home industry works, It's disturbing to think that the governor would mention large nursing home chains in the same breath as healthcare workers who are risking their lives to fight this global pandemic when thinking about immunity. So back to the question, what should the public demand from nursing homes in return for this immunity? I have a very reasonable and enforceable suggestion. Before granting any immunity, the governor should require all nursing homes to agree to the following conditions. Number 1, properly store piles of PPE for the next pandemic. This is something that can be determined by an advisory board. And proper PPE stockpiles should become part of all state inspections. Number 2, proper staffing. Not minimal staffing, which large chains usually aspire for and many times don't even meet, but proper staffing, the staffing level the government expects them to provide and pays them to provide. Number 3, all related party transactions must be proven to be at fair market value, or they should be disallowed expenses and cannot be used for reimbursement calculations. This means that nursing homes should not be allowed to inflate the actual cost of operations by paying themselves more than fair market value and then expecting the government to reimburse them based on those inflated costs. And finally, in future expansions, if a chain is attempting to purchase a facility and they violated any of these conditions in the last 2 years, the sale should be denied by the state. I implore you to reach out to the governor's office and press them to put these conditions on nursing homes in return for the same immunity granted to hospitals, physicians, and frontline nurses. The nursing homes should have to sign off on these conditions, and if they don't sign, they should not be granted immunity. Thank you for listening, and thank you in advance for calling the governor's office. Stay safe.